ELT Talks in cooperation with Beyond Walk and Talk.
Hi there, Beyond Walk and Talk.
Hello สวัสดีครับแฟนๆชาวฟิลิปปินส์ครับผมบอยปกรณ์ครับผม
Please follow Beyond Walk and Talk.
Hi everyone, it's Miss Universe 2015 Pia Wurzbach and I'm inviting you to watch Beyond Walk and Talk.
Hi, I'm Francisco and you are watching Beyond Walk and Talk. Thank you so much, Mr. Nico Bantayanon, for this wonderful opportunity to be part of this ELT Talks, and hi to our viewers right now. For tonight's discussion, I will be talking about the linguistic principles and classroom practices. So this is just a review for all of us who are currently teaching. It's not only what we teach, it's how we teach. It means that it's not only the acquired knowledge that we have, but it's also how we use our creative side in a classroom setting. So why do we need to review this topic? It says here that learning the language principles would be a good starting point for those wishing to further develop their understanding of language teaching, and emphasizes the importance of using such strategies and techniques as foundations and drawing upon prior knowledge. Let me start with this principle. This is about the separation of two languages. The native language and the target language have separate linguistic systems. They should be kept apart so that students' native language interferes as little as possible with a student's attempt to acquire the target language. So right here in Thailand, how do we put this into practice, especially in the classroom setting? The language teacher uses only the target language in the classroom. It means that we are encouraged only to use English in the classroom. You can use actions and pictures. These can be used to provide meaning. The next linguistic principle is about how we correct the students' errors when they use the English language. It says here, language learning is a process of habit formation. The more often something is repeated, the stronger the habit and the greater the learning. Errors lead to formation of bad habits. When errors happen, they should be immediately corrected by the teacher. How can we practice this kind of linguistic principles? Now, in the language classroom practice, the language teacher introduces the dialogue by modeling it and introduces the drills by modeling the correct answers. At other times, the teacher corrects mispronunciation by modeling the proper sounds in the target language. Next principle is about the basic thing. When we teach grammar or the sentence structure to our students, the learning of a foreign language should be the same as the acquisition of the native language. We do not need to memorize rules in order to use our native language. The rules necessary to use the target language will be figured out or induced from examples. Here, in our classroom practice, we need to teach the grammatical points through examples and drills. The fourth principle talks about the natural order of how we learn the foreign language. The speech is more basic to language than a written form. The natural order, the order students follow when learning the native language of skill acquisition is listening, speaking, reading, and writing. How can we put this into practice? The teacher writes a dialogue on the board or provide some vocabularies. The students do some limited written work with the dialogue and sentence drill. So it's our responsibility to provide the necessary words that they need for the lesson. Another thing that we need to consider is this principle. This is the time that we spend in teaching the students. At the beginning, the teacher needs to look for progress, not perfection. Because learning takes place in time. Students learn at different rates. So in the classroom setup, let's take this as an example. The student's pronunciation is improved, but still not as close to the target language sounds as some of the students are able to come. It means that the other students are slow in terms of their pacing to learn the correct pronunciation. The teacher works with the students a bit longer before the lesson proceeds. This is the reason why we need to review our previous lessons and the vocabularies that we introduced from the previous topics. What about the expressions that we use in the classroom as teachers and even our personal choice of words? Now, here in the linguistic principle, the target language is a vehicle for classroom communication, not just the object of study. How can we practice this in the classroom? The teacher gives the students the direction of the activity in the target language. This means that the students can learn from us the way how we use our personal choice of words or expressions and the way how we provide the directions in playing games. The most challenging thing that we can do inside the classroom is how we activate our material. So in the next linguistic principle, let me read. It says, dramatization, role play is a particularly important way of playfully activating the material. I have been practicing this thing since I started to teach here in Thailand. Why? Why do we need to use dramatization? Because fantasy reduces the barriers to learning. When we use this dramatization or role play, you allow the students to imagine the characters instead of just reading the book. In the linguistic classroom practice, the teacher gives the students hats or masks to wear for the different characters of the dialogue. The students take turns reading, speaking portions of the dialogue. The story from the book comes alive through actions, and the students have their own interpretation of the characters of the story. And not only that, they can use the vocabulary, they can practice it, and remember it when they portray the roles. For those teachers who enjoy music, songs, and action inside the classroom, this is for you. Music and movement reinforce the linguistic material. It is desirable that the students achieve a state of infantilization so that they will be more open to learning. Trust the teacher, they will reach this state more easily. It is very important for us to provide music, to have songs in the class, to let the students sing in the class. There you have it, the linguistic principles. Those principles are my personal choices based on... Thank you so much. Back to you, Sir Nico.